Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan of hotels, back in the building. LendingCon 2026. We have none other than Brian Quinn, My Place Hotels. People are saying this is the My Place Hotel show sometimes. I have so many My Place guests. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. As usual, Jam put on a great event, great LendingCon. Good to be with you and to visit with some of our franchisees and prospects. And for once, it's a conference that wasn't too far from home. So being able to drive to a conference instead of fly for a change was nice.
That's right. I love the hotel at this conference. My bed, right in Orlando. How did you get started in this business, for those that don't know?
You know, a big Irish Catholic family. Everybody had to work and contribute. And I pivoted away from a supermarket to a Holiday Inn, driving a hotel van, and fell in love with the business. Had a couple of really great mentors along the way that accelerated me through operations. Did operations for about 10 years and then moved over to corporate and then ultimately development the last 20. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Wow. Today we're going to be talking about extended stay hotel management. Like, what are like the top 3 biggest differences you've seen in managing extended stay property versus managing a regular hotel?
Yeah, you know, it's as somebody that came up through ops, I can imagine that when the general managers, get the opportunity to work in extended stay hotel, the nuances are there, but not always readily apparent. When I remember being in operations, if you could sell out, you sold out, right?
That's right.
Saturday night, Tuesday night, whatever your demand pattern was, you sell out. In an extended stay hotel, in order to optimize the model, you really want to keep the availability open for as many days as possible. So if you allow the hotel to spike like that or sell out on a single night, you all of a sudden degrade all those multi-night stays that are there and that demand. You know, the 2 big patterns that everybody's aware of is sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In a lot of those cases, you could sell out on a Tuesday, on a Saturday, but you may have a 7-day guest or a 10-day guest that wants to stay with you, but can't stay because you allowed the hotel not to sell out. You allowed the hotel to sell out on a particular day. And that takes general managers and guest service managers and revenue managers a minute to get their head around. So that's one. You really have to be in sync with the guest. Guests of extended stay hotels are a bit more independent than the guests at a transient hotel. So they're going to decide how often they want housekeeping. They're going to decide whether they're going to go to the grocery store and load up their refrigerator or go out every night, for dinner. And each of them are different, and the desk clerks really have to become aware of the guest's behavior to make sure that they take care of them. And then, as you can imagine, traveling nurses and doctors, traveling teachers, people that are building the data centers, people that are working overnight shifts, how you handle those housekeeping and knocking on the door and waking people up. And the guests live at the hotel, so they have a different behavioral pattern than a transient guest. So that would sort of be the second one. And then the third one is just to make sure that you get the amenities and the offering correct. These guests, as I said, are incredibly independent. They take care of themselves in a lot of cases, but there are certain things they do need. Like, we have a pretty robust store, gift shop, because we do recognize that could be the last mile for somebody that gets in late at night. They need a snack. They want to heat something up. Same thing in the morning. They sort of got a to-go breakfast, but they sort of pick out the Jimmy Dean sandwich and get on the road and that kind of thing, versus having it laid out, because the start of the day is different for everybody in an extended stay hotel. They're not necessarily on the same work clock as everybody. So getting that amenity mix correct, and then you've got to make sure you have it, right? If somebody's in the hotel for 4, 7, 10, 20, 30 days, the health and beauty items and the small snacks, you're their convenience store, right? So you've got to have those items, and if you don't have it and they have to go off site, that can impact the service experience. So
Wow. I remember I was managing some extended stay hotels, some other locations.
Yeah.
And there was even hotels that did dinner, and I'm like, I thought that was kind of a waste of money, because if they don't like it, they don't eat it.
Right.
Tell me more about the My Place business model. Extended stay.
I think what's so incredible about the model that they created was really locking in on the 2 or 3 things that the guest wants. And we've been incredibly lucky. The brand was originally positioned to be sort of economy and mid-scale. When it hit the market, the consumer put it in the mid-scale and upper mid-scale space. That doesn't happen very often. It's happened to a couple of brands. It's great when it does because you're able to get a higher rate category. But one of the things that they got spot on was recognizing we don't provide a breakfast program or a cocktail program at my place, because our consumer goes out and makes those decisions on their own, and they do it at different times of the day, as I made the point already. And that simplicity though allows the general manager and the revenue manager really to optimize the model around the number of employees that are there and the service profile that they provide. And it's really, as long as you understand the guest, make sure that you've got that store stocked and you understand the clock that the consumer is on that's staying with you, they're gonna give you good scores, because they are incredibly independent. They go off and get their own things and take care of their own meals and those kind of things. I would say the other piece that AI will probably help us with is where the hotel is located and the amenities and the services, because they need the gas to fire up the truck in the morning. They're going to need a gym. They're going to need some other services that if someone's only staying with you for 2 or 3 nights, they might not go out into the neighborhood and explore those kind of things. A long-term guest will need those, where's the local church or synagogue? Where's the gym? Where's the, different scales of restaurants? Where can I get food quickly? Even medical, if they have an emergency or need medicine. So making sure that you have all of that program so your desk clerks can give them that information is critical.
One thing I did notice was actually like the utilities were a little different, because I wasn't doing the laundry as much, right? I didn't have to strip every single room, every single day to make sure everything was cool. And like, what are some of the things that you see that a lot of the owners are saying?
It's incredible how well the extended stay guests behave on the road. They hang up their own towels and they tuck the shower curtain in because they don't want to have any water on the kitchen, on the bathroom floor when they get back. They make their beds. It's kind of incredible that from somebody that grew up in a transient environment, that traveler really does that. But I learned this term. They kind of call it nesting, right? When people check into an extended stay hotel, they have this sense that they're moving in. They bring pictures of their family. Sometimes they're bringing their person with them. They're bringing their pet with them. And so they inhabit the room in a very different way. But it's kind of nice because they're also incredibly respectful and, in most cases, of the guest room. You know what I mean? One thing that we've struck on too is just to have an incredible bed. Our CEO and the design team really worked with a lot of different firms to get the bed right. And it was one of the first things I noticed, that we get incredible positive feedback on the bed. And you say, okay, in a hotel, you got to have a great bed. That's table stakes, right? But in a lot of hotels, you don't necessarily have a great bed. But if you believe in that nesting concept, the bed is even more important. That's where they're doing their work. That's where they're sleeping. That's where they're living. And their assessment of that part of the room experience is critical and very different. They're going to be there for a while, so it better be a good bed. You can tolerate a bad bed for a couple of days, but not for a week.
That is for sure. I actually checked out a hotel because
sure, me too.
When
it looks like this, you're in trouble. Flip those beds, guys.
For sure. I think probably the worst thing I experienced when I was at an extended stay hotel is actually going to be the trash bill, because when someone moves out, they move out.
Yeah. Where there's some incremental, savings and incremental sort of positives on the service profile, when they're there, you do have to do a pretty deep clean when people exit. And look, you have to have patience with them. I think about the data center folks. I mean, they're working with equipment. They're getting dirty every day. They're bringing their tools into the room. They're bringing their equipment, their uniform. So we do take very good care when we have one of those long-term checkouts to make sure that we get the room reset the right way. And as it relates to sort of laundry and housekeeping and all that, there's all kinds of other sort of small wins embedded in that too. If you think about sustainability, we use less water, we use less chemicals, and we're also people say, the guests are tough on the terry. It's not the guests that are tough on the terry and all the soft goods. It's that we're having to clean them for sanitation and to rotate the guests. But if it's the same guest, they don't have the same demands on rotating that. So you have a little win that way too.
And it actually works out better for the guests because every clean is pretty much a deep clean.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, but back to operating the hotels. I think the other layer I would put out there is that the approach to revenue management is not just being careful of the demand flows and, spiking on certain days, but really, you're allowing the hotel to act like 2 or 3 hotels in one, right? Our target mix for my place is to be 40% extended stay and 60% transient. Every brand has its philosophy around that. We believe that's the correct one for our locations. But there is a learning there around how you price the multi-night stays, what the offerings are, the different types of groups you go after, the different types of businesses that you call on to make sure that you get that 40% so you can arbitrage the 60% and try and get some rate premium out of the transient layer that's there as well.
That makes sense.
And that is not everybody comes up with that comes up through ops has that visibility. You do have to go out and learn it.
Yeah, and discipline.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And the capacity to when we look at GMs and front desk managers, you think, do they have the capacity to go talk to a small community college? Do they have the capacity to talk to the local hospital administrator, right? The people that are going to help you find that base of business, right? You have to be able to run the hotel and sometimes do a couple shifts at the desk, and you might have to do a deep clean, but you also have to go out into the community and lock in some of those extended stay guests that may be patronizing the businesses that are driving the extended stay demand.
Wow.
So very diverse skill set for a general manager of an extended stay.
Absolutely. But one thing that most people really love is your labor costs. Your labor cost is usually a lot lower than the traditional extended stay hotels.
Yeah, and that comes from the simplicity of the My Place model, right? We don't have the breakfast room, so that reduces the need to clean that room and have the public space person and also the food handler. Having the guests go off-site for the majority of their amenities also reduces headcount. The desk clerk can sort of play 2 or 3 different roles too. We're not opposed to having behind the wall a big bin filled with the towels. So if anybody comes in and needs the towels, we have them handy there. But you are cleaning the rooms less. That's downward pressure on the FTEs. You don't have the same check-in, check-out flow. So a lot of times you can handle the desk with 1 person instead of 2. And so that's downward pressure on the full-time equivalents. And then last, really making sure that the general managers and the lead at the front desk have that bigger skill set because they have to wear multiple hats as it relates to housekeeping and sales and property management.
Makes sense. Listen, Brian.
But that's powerful margin though. Powerful margin for the P&L.
Yeah, I love it. Like I know that you guys have a conversion brand, which of course we'll touch on in our next interview. But what are some of the margins look like? I know it's based on the market is different.
Yeah. No question. I think why you see so much attention on extended stay is sort of this happy coincidence of factors that has happened. And, post-COVID, I think it's been put on, it's been turbocharged. And that is a function of the fact that the consumer is demanding that product. Once they experience a hotel with the kitchen amenities and the extra space, they usually love it, right? They didn't even realize that was an option, right? Yeah. So when you have consumer demand for the product, that's great. We talked about the structural reasons why the flow-throughs are so great because you're managing less amenities, less public space, and less touch points with the guest. So the owner is happy and the operator is happy because the numbers are good. We like to see the flow-throughs to be in the high 30s to the low 50s, and that is the only segment that provides those types of flow-throughs in the P&L. It is subject to the location and the market and all of those different elements. And the reason why we have that visibility, some of our friendly brand competitors really just have the top line numbers, occupancy, ADR, RevPAR. The reason why we have that visibility inside the P&L is because we run through Legacy Management, our management company. We run just around 30 hotels right now, the majority of them being extended stay and the majority of them being My Place. So we have that true visibility into the flow throughs, and we can help our franchisees along the way too, because if we find a best practice that works in the management company, we will absolutely extend that to the franchise community as well.
For sure, man. That is amazing, man. Listen, welcome aboard. Good to have
Having
you
fun with it.
on the team.
Yeah.
And
I think you were on the My Place team before me.
I feel that way. For sure. But thanks for being on the show. How can everybody get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Please go to the myplacehotels.com and click on the development chiclet there, and you can reach the entire team.
All right. And thank you for joining us for an episode. This is Bruce Jordan of Michael Jordan Hotels, signing out. Hey, what's going on? It's Bruce Jordan, the hotel revenue expert. I just want to take a quick second to thank you for watching this video. If you could just do us a big favor and just subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more videos like this, more information, great information about hotels. I'm also the author of the Hotel Revenue Bible. You can get that book on hotelrevenuebible.com. And we are here to answer all your questions. So if you have any questions, just shoot us a quick text at 321-321-2002. That's 321-321-2002. And you can book a revenue call. Go to hotelrevenuecall.com and we can answer any and all your questions. Just make an appointment with me. You'll do one-on-one with me. You'll be able to do one-on-one with me, and we could go ahead and get all your questions answered and see if you have any revenue issues that needs to be resolved. Talk to you soon. Thank you again. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you.